What's up, fam? What's going on with everybody? This is Al. You know, I was just thinking about something while I'm waiting to do something else, and I'm waiting on people to show up. So I would just have my thoughts racing and going through my head. And I said, when I think about my bloodline, I could say that I came from a bloodline of real men, not real men that you consider like gangsters and all that kind of stuff, whatever you think that is. I'm talking about just grown men in my bloodline that handle their business affairs. And I was trying to remember how many of them ever lived under a woman. And I couldn't think of any. I couldn't think of any. And I'm glad that I can't think of any. Because in my family, all the men, I'm born in the 60s. So all my relatives, they go back 60s, 50s, 40s, and things like that. And I had the luxury and pleasure of being able to grow up under their knowledge, under their tutelage, and all that kind of stuff of what it takes and what's the definition of what we think a man is, right? And I always say when I think of the definition, it's a man that can lead. Definition of a man is someone that can actually lead and be trusted to be just that. Now, if you're young, you may not understand that because you got to learn, right? So we all make our mistakes when we're young. But when you snap out of it and reality comes in and you actually see in the mirror one day and you ask that question, who am I? And if your answer can be, I'm a man, I'm a leader, then you still lost. You don't really know who you are. All the men in my family, I could say whenever I went to go pay visit to them, and even if I didn't know the girlfriend, or if I did not know the wife, or something like that, because, I knew him from my father and brothers and things like that. I knew that house. When my father said, come on, I'm going to take you over your uncle's house or something like that, that's what he would say. I'm going to take you over your uncle's house. Meaning that house was what that uncle provided for his family. The same as my father. So no man that I know of, right, ever lived under a woman's roof or lived under a woman where she got up to go to work while he stayed home, right? She paid the bills while he stayed home, right? Now, if something is going on, don't get me wrong, the world ain't perfect, and there's a reason for everything. Sometimes men get themselves in a situation, and they could be in a city, they could be in a state, and that job market may not qualify them to be able to sustain a livelihood. But their girlfriend or their wife may be in that position where, hey, it's benefiting for her as well as yourself, and she kind of understands when y'all really sit down and you think about it, right? And talk about it. So that does happen. That's reality. Some places men work at and live, they fall in love, and it works out great for the female, but it doesn't work out great for him. So I've witnessed that before. So I'm not judging that person. I'm talking about the man that meets a woman and his whole opportunity of what he's trying to get is what he sees, right? She opens up her books and let you see what she's worth, what she's valued. So you come up with this idea and you create all this false narrative about yourself. You ever seen women when they get bamboozled by a guy who they said had this and had that, and he only talked about it, but he never really showed it, right? He never really showed it. It always seemed like when they went somewhere and she was confused, right? And she was always wondering, how come every time we go somewhere, it always seems like you forgot. Like you forgot your wallet, something happened, right? And then they wind up paying for it. Even driving in her car. I don't see how women get themselves caught up like that. But you got some women that do. You hear the stories. You hear the stories. And when they say, he said this, he said that, but he never showed it. And I just said, well, maybe it's true what he's saying, but I'll figure it out later on. They do that, right? But no, I've never, for me, I've never been in a relationship. I'm married now, right? But I've never been in a relationship where if a woman came to the house or something like that, that she came because I needed her to handle a situation for me, right? And I never try to set it up that I'm trying to move into her house or her apartment back in the days, right? We're talking about houses and all that. I never found myself doing that. I would always make sure I had my own place to lay my head down because women can be tricky, right? You ever came to a woman's house and even though you had your own, but because you was at her place for a minute, you found your clothes, wound up being at her house, and then one day you go over there and you see all your stuff folded up and ready to be bagged so you can take it with you, right? It don't mean that she's done with you. It just means that she's letting you know that, hey, you ain't staying here, right? So, and basically that was never the concept and never the idea anyway. It just happened to be that for some reason, she would always say, hey, come over here and do this and that. And then wind up being in my clothes would wind up staying over there. But I never set it up that I'm trying to move in with you because I got my own place and I have my own money. So, but I've never, ever, me, myself, ever moved into a place with a woman who owns the place, right? Either we did it together, meaning we both gave up, or if they moved in with me, that was fine. But I was never going to move in with them. I would never do that because I always looked at it as that I'm going to be the head of the household, right? And it's just old school way of thinking, I guess. Old school way of thinking. This new school way of thinking is, I think some of these guys, they can move in with a female and don't even batter and lose any sleep over it, right? Move in, she's going to work, he gets up while he's the one still in bed while she's going to work. And then when she comes home, he's still either in bed or he just sitting on the couch watching TV. And pretty soon that will get old. I don't know, unless she's an older woman and she needs a young man or she needs a man in her life and she just lets it happen. But a lot of times women, they want somebody that can actually be a provider, actually take care. Now, you're gonna probably have some women say, "Hey, I don't mind if he can move in with me, long as he's contributing, right? I don't have no problem with that." A lot of women do that, but I think a lot of times guys already come in with the mindset that even if I could contribute, I'd rather do it for my own place. I'd rather the place be in my name, right? I'm gonna be the first person on that sheet, right? That is the way I was raised to think. And that's the way I've always been. I don't even have, for the most part, I don't even depend on my wife. I depend on her to be able to sustain her own, what she wants to do, right? And I still help her out if she needs something. But for the most part, I take care of all the bills that we have in the house. The only thing she does is her vehicle note, right? Insurance and things like that. But as far as everything else, I pretty much handle all those type of affairs, right? I mainly take care of all those type of situations that we need. Water bill, light bills, electricity, any kind of bills we got in the house, I pretty much do not rely on her because it makes me feel easy that way to not be dependent on her to come through when I need her. If I need her, best believe she's there, right? We've been in a situation before where I say, babe, I need something, and she's always got it. But it makes it balance between us that I don't sweat her for that. But she's the kind of person that she knows that I don't force the issue, but she always puts stuff away just for that rainy day purpose. Because there's been times where it has happened, and I have to say, hey, I need to sit down for a minute. I got to tell you something. And she say, okay. And then when I tell her, and we say how much, she say, all right, let me go to the bank. And boom. So it works. You see what I'm saying? That's balance. It makes her feel that even though I don't depend on her for, to take care of the necessities, but if something does hit the fan, she's a smart woman. She don't just take her money and then go take it and go blow it on everything. No, she's very conservative with her money. So she'll have it in the bank, ready to go. And if I need something, if something does take place, hey, it's like my break glass in case of emergency type of deal. And that balances us. That's how it works. But at moving in under a woman's roof or something like that, I just never was raised to think like that. And I've never practiced. I think it's weird if Oprah told me to move into her mansion. I don't even know if I could do it, because I'll be feeling every day that someday she'll tell me get out. And I'd be too worried about that. So I couldn't even feel comfortable living in somebody's house like that. That's my whole thing. My comfort zone is knowing that it's mine. So I'm not going anywhere, right? It belongs to me. My name's on it. I'm the one who takes care of that bill. So no, I'm not going anywhere. But that would bother me. I'd be thinking, as rich as she is, and she tell me, come on up in here, I'd probably be saying, no, I'm good. I'm going to go back to my house. Go back to my apartment. We can still kick it. But no, I'm good where I'm at. I'll come over and see you, whatever. But I'm not trying to move into your place, right? Because I just always, in the back of my mind, I can wake up at any minute and she just say, hey, we need to have a talk. And then next thing you know, I didn't got used to being in that house. I didn't got used to everything, them cars and everything in that driveway, that boat that I've been driving and everything like that. And then she all of a sudden tell me that we done and I got to give up all that luxury of living. I'll be mad. I'll be mad. But if I'm already used to my house, 2,000 some square foot, and I'm used to that, I'm okay. Hey, I met Oprah. We kicking it. But yeah, I don't stay with Oprah. That's just it. I don't stay with her. So yeah, that's how serious I am about not putting myself under a woman's roof. I just can't do it. So with that said, I'm out. Y'all be cool. Peace.